Hawk had spent the better part of 4 decades living a life most people could only dream about. He was, without question, one of the most recognizable faces in Hollywood, America's favorite movie star. His name alone could carry a film to box office success, and his legacy was cemented through his roles in some of the biggest franchises in cinematic history. Audiences adored him. Studios trusted him. The world believed they knew him. But the truth was, very few actually did. For the past 5 years, Reef had been out of the spotlight. Officially, it was framed as a break, a well-earned pause after years of relentless work. Publicly, the narrative was clean, polished, and carefully constructed. Yet, behind the scenes, things weren't nearly as simple. The question now looming over his return was unavoidable. How would he explain those missing years? Reef sat quietly, contemplating the version of the story he was willing to tell. He knew what he wouldn't say. He wouldn't admit that he had been hiding an addiction from the public. He wouldn't confess that his closest allies, his best friends, and even his slightly unhinged but brilliant lawyer, Ira, had helped him keep that secret buried for years. No, that part of his life would remain untouched, carefully omitted from any official narrative. It was, as Ira would put it, a smart omission. Everything seemed manageable until the video surfaced. The moment Reef learned about it, his entire world shifted. Someone had it. Someone had a video that could destroy everything he had built. His reputation, his career, his carefully curated image. It was all at risk. The worst part was, he didn't even know what was on it. Sitting across from him, his longtime friends Kyle and Xander tried to process the situation. These weren't just casual friendships. They had been with Reef through everything. His rise to fame, his darkest moments, and all the chaos in between. If anyone could help him navigate this crisis, it was them. "We have a big problem," someone said bluntly. Reef leaned forward. "What's on the video?" No one had an answer. That uncertainty made everything worse. The only logical step forward was to figure out who might be behind it, and to do that, Reef would have to confront a difficult truth. There were a lot of people who might have a reason to hate him, more than he cared to admit. The plan was unconventional, borderline absurd, but it was all they had. Reef needed to go out and apologize to anyone he might have wronged over the years. Not just a few people, everyone. Old colleagues, former employees, current employees, the pool guy, the old pool guy, even the older pool guy before that. The list kept growing. Directors, actors, costume designers, makeup artists, crew members, executives. And then there was his mother. "Your mom hates you," someone pointed out. Reef paused. That one hit differently. Still, the mission was clear. If someone out there was trying to destroy him, he would find them, even if it meant confronting every mistake he had ever made. To manage the situation, Ira assembled what he called a crisis team. It was a mix of strategists, handlers, and advisors, people who specialized in damage control. Their job was to prepare for the worst while helping Reef maintain some level of control over the narrative. The biggest concern wasn't just the existence of the video, it was what it might contain. "I pray you didn't say the word in that video," someone said cautiously. Reef hesitated. He couldn't say for sure. That uncertainty hung heavy in the room. But regardless of what was on it, the team made one thing clear. If the truth came out, they would face it together. No running, no hiding. They would walk through the fire, side by side. As Reef began his journey of apologies, the emotional weight of his past started to surface. Each conversation forced him to confront parts of himself he had long ignored. Some encounters were awkward, others were painful, a few were unexpectedly honest. One question kept coming up over and over. What are you sorry for? At first, Reef struggled to answer, not because he didn't have regrets, but because he had never truly examined them. His apologies often felt rehearsed, almost performative, like scenes from a movie rather than genuine expressions of remorse. And people noticed. "You're not a good person," someone told him bluntly. It wasn't said with anger, it was said with clarity. That moment lingered. Even his interaction with his mother carried a strange mix of sincerity and awkwardness. When he tried to apologize, it felt incomplete, like something was missing. "Can we try that again?" came the response. It was as if even his most personal moments were being judged, critiqued, and reevaluated, just like his performances on screen. That was the problem. For most of his life, Reef had been performing. Even now, he couldn't tell where the performance ended and the real emotion began. At one point, during an interaction that felt almost like a film set, someone commented on the emotional moment, praising it as if it were a scene rather than reality. It was a stark reminder of how blurred his life had become. He wasn't just living his story, he was acting it out. Meanwhile, the pressure continued to build. The looming threat of the video cast a shadow over everything. Each apology felt like a step closer to uncovering the truth, but also a step deeper into his own guilt. Through it all, Kyle and Xander remained by his side. Their loyalty was unwavering, even when Reef questioned why they stayed. "Why are you still here?" he asked at one point. The answer wasn't grand or philosophical. It was simple. "I ordered food and already paid for it on the app." It was a joke, but it carried a deeper truth. Sometimes people stay not because everything is perfect, but because they've chosen to, because history matters, because connection matters, and maybe because they still believe there's something worth saving. As the journey continued, Reef found himself grappling with a deeper question. What is an apology, really? Is it something you do for yourself, a way to ease your own guilt? Or is it for the person you've hurt, a genuine attempt to make things right? Or is it just another performance? The more he thought about it, the more complicated it became. An apology at its core should be honest, but in Reef's world, where image was everything, honesty had always been filtered, adjusted, and reshaped to fit a narrative. Now he was being forced to confront that reality, without the filters, without the script, and without knowing how it would all end. As the clock ticked closer to whatever reveal awaited him, Reef realized something important. This wasn't just about the video anymore. It wasn't even about saving his career. It was about understanding himself. For the first time in a long time, he wasn't playing a role. He was searching for the truth. And whether that truth would destroy him or set him free, he had no idea. But one thing was certain. The process had already begun. "Are you ready?" someone asked. Reef looked ahead, uncertain but determined. They didn't wait for an answer. "We're already starting." And just like that, the next chapter of his life unfolded. Messy, unpredictable, and painfully real. For a man who had spent his entire life in the spotlight, this might be the first time he was truly being seen. And maybe, just maybe, that was the real outcome.
For full video, click related link below or like and subscribe this channel.